for YMCA Cambridgeshire and Peterborough. YMCA was set up in the East End of London in 1851, and YMCA Cambridge was set up in 1852. So it very quickly spread throughout the world, and it went to America almost immediately. And American YMCAs literally sit at the heart of their communities. YMCAs in England are independent charities, depending on where they are, and there are 114 independent charities that are under one umbrella in the UK. So we're very small, although we have to subscribe to the laws laid down by the YMCA, nationally and internationally, which is why we're so adherent to what we do. We support communities, but our focus is on young people and the effect, both positive and negative, that they have within the communities. So our aim really is to take people and move them on, progress them in their life. Now, traditionally, what's happened is the YMCA, certainly in this area, has focused almost exclusively on housing people who find themselves in distress. So that would be people who have walked away from a situation or have been thrown out of home, and so we then house them. There are many reasons why that has happened, but things are now starting to change in the world. Funding is starting to disappear, so anybody under 21 is no longer eligible automatically for housing benefit. And also the government have recently changed the law that if you don't come from a particular area, you cannot be housed with housing benefit in that area. You have to go back to where you came from. So let's say somebody is from Birmingham and they're being abused, or they're being groomed, or their friends are encouraging them to take drugs. They move away from that situation and come to Cambridge. Currently, under the rules, we have to turn them away and send them back to where they came from, which is disgraceful. So we're currently lobbying government, and anybody, now the situation is they're now considering anybody in distress, in a distress situation, will get housing benefits. So at least that's stabilising a little bit. However, we're seeing a massive rise in very specific issues. So things like mental health issues, high expectations of parents that are meaning children are just imploding in school, bullying, cyberbullying, self-harm, drug taking, alcohol abuse from young children from the age of 5 all the way up to about 27. So that's the reason that we've now put the counselling service into place, and we're going into schools, so primary schools, secondary schools, colleges, universities, and we're now working with young people to address these issues. And obviously this comes at a cost, but what we're trying to do is offset our costs that we're using. We're now working with local colleges so that the counsellors, most of our counsellors are trainee counsellors who have to do CPD hours, and so we're getting them free, gratis and for nothing, but obviously we are having to use qualified counsellors as well. So we're attempting to address those issues. Many of those are related to relationships. So you think, well, okay, well, if you're having a problem with your boyfriend, yes, but it's also about family breakdown, particularly at times like Christmas, where and also in pressure situations where benefit is being withdrawn from families and suddenly people are being kicked out onto the street. So we're seeing a huge rise in homelessness of young people. So we're having to pick them up and to put them into a situation. What tends to happen then is that if they're kicked out of home, they can't go back. So they arrive on our doorstep with a carrier bag of clothes, with nothing else. They have no photo ID, they have no money, they have no access to getting benefits of any kind. So they have no future. Educational standards tend to be very low or zero amongst this group as well. So they fall into the NEET category. So, and I had a meeting with some of them 2 weeks ago, trying to get some of these young people to actually volunteer to help themselves, if you like. And the first words out of their mouth were, "Yes, but we're scum. Why would anybody want to help us?" Which is just heartbreaking. So they think the world is against them. They are so anti-establishment, they're anti-establishment in any way. So anybody who tries to help them, they step back. They just don't trust you because they feel particularly adults are going to let them down. So we're in a position where we deal with, if you like, in terms of Maslow's, we're dealing with the bottom part of the pyramid at the moment. So we house them, we get them benefit, then we start to train them. We have our own college. We start to put them on work experience. We start to build CVs for them and move them forward. So then we give them opportunities to volunteer. And once they're in jobs, we try to help them in terms of their health and well-being. So we run gyms, we run classes where they can actually come alongside healthy body, healthy mind. And it's about helping them become, if you like, a proactive, fully paid up member of society in the community that they live. And that's the journey that we want to take them on. We have almost exclusively in the past relied on government funding through housing benefit and the like. But now what we're doing is, for the first time, I've been in place for 3 months, what we're now doing is actually going out and speaking to people like yourselves, speaking to other businesses, other networks, other organisations, and saying we can no longer rely on government handouts, and we can also not rely on fishing in the same pool as all of the other charities. Grants and trusts, everybody's piling in to try and get this money. We're doing that as well. But actually what we want to do is we want to have 4 asks of people, both in our communities, whether that be the business community or whether that be individuals themselves. We need 4 things. Of course, we need money. And that's always the first ask. Can you provide us with money? Trust us that we know what we're doing, and we can give you specific things that you can fund, so like counselling or access to employment service or reparation. And reparation is what used to be called youth justice, so it's the people painting fences, things like that. We've also got a thing called No Cracks, which is where we pick kids up who are in prison, and we deal with them, and we put plans in place, so when they come out, we help them and we deal with them, and 60% of the kids who come out and go onto that programme don't re-offend within a year. So we're trying to stop them going back into that cycle of decline. So the first ask is obviously money. The second one is expertise. So if you've got specific areas of expertise that we can use that we then don't have to pay for. So for instance, I was in with Metro Bank yesterday, and they're going to provide us with access to bank accounts for young people. So they turn up on our doorstep with nothing. We can then give them, excuse me, sorry. I can turn this one off. So the second one is expertise, as I say. So Metro Bank are going to be providing opportunities for bank accounts, but more importantly, every month they've now committed to come along and do, how do you manage your budget? How do you get yourself out of debt? How do you deal with those issues? Because lots of young people, as with many people, a housing benefit arrives in their bank account and they think, fantastic. So they go out and drink. And then it comes to a situation where they need to pay their rent, and it's, oops. So we don't penalise them, we don't chuck them out. What we do is we help them. So Metro Bank are now going to do that. But you will all have skills that we may be able to help you with. So John Lewis, for instance, they're going to be providing us with all of their returns so that we can provide clothes for some of these kids. But also they're going to be running a knitting club, and they're also going to come in and do classes on how do you talk to an adult in an interview? How do you behave? How do you dress? How do you wear your makeup? It's those kinds of things. So simple things. I mean, it could be as easy as helping us with half an hour a month where you can actually type a young person's CV up for them. It takes us currently 27 days to turn a CV round. So what we need is, because we have no administrators, so we need people to be able to just commit half an hour a month to be able to type up a CV, which means we can get a young person into the employment market far, far quicker, very instantly, and then we can work on work experience. If you would be willing to take a young person for a day just to show them the ropes in terms of what you're doing, that then could give them an opportunity to think, this is the kind of sector that I would like to work in, and then we can push them into training and that kind of thing. So that's the second ask. The third ask is gifts in kind. So that could be toiletries. It could be clothes. It could be an old laptop that you've got lying around. It could be stationery. It could be anything that we could then provide a young person with that allows them to build their life. Yeah. So, and then the fourth one, which is probably the most important, is time. And this really falls into 2 categories. So we need volunteers. We're desperate for volunteers. We have so few because people don't know what we do, therefore they don't vote with their feet to come to us and support us. We need fundraising volunteers who will go out and help us in terms of when we have an event, that they will help man that event. When we're doing street collections, they will be there helping to fill out the direct debit forms, and or to do the chugging, and or to tell people about what we're doing. But also on the other side of things, we need people to help us out in terms of our actual delivery operations. So we're just about to set up something which is an outreach programme for our sports programme. And that's going to be in Peterborough on the grounds of City College. And we're going to be running a boot camp. And so young people can come along, and once a week they can come along for an hour and do a free, gratis and for nothing boot camp. So healthy body, healthy mind. However, the important thing is once we've got them there and then they're enjoying themselves, it gives us the opportunity to do two things. First, we can stand at the end for